Hello everybody, welcome to Deauville for this 9th edition of the Women's Forum. I would like to take a small minute to greet more specifically our friends from Russia. We'll talk about the Russian delegation later on. I would like to specifically thank our friends from Myanmar, and especially the Minister of the Social Affairs, who is coming here for the first time ever, and so we are so delighted. And also our friends from Dubai, because as you know, we are planning on going to Dubai. So welcome all of you, and welcome to our French participants and the rest of the world also participants, of course. I didn't want to start this session without 4 fabulous ladies. Those 4 fabulous ladies, they are the program committee members, so maybe you could come closer. Because throughout the year, we are building a program that I hope you will enjoy, but nothing would have been possible without the 4 of them. And although she's not on stage, I would like to also thank Jennifer Milliken, our program committee director, and she deserves a great applause also, as well as those 4 ladies. So thanks, Jennifer. So let me introduce Maria Livanos Cattaui. She's been for the very beginning of the forum, I guess. Huh? You're one of the first ever to help us on the forum. Nina Gardner, Theo Sowa, and Anne Walker Marchant. So I would like the four of you to tell us about your vision, your perspective about the key topic of this year, and of course also to give the participants your challenges to all of them. So, Nina.
Thank you, Véronique, and thank you, Jennifer, and thank you to my fellow program committee members. Compete, cooperate, create. These words resonate deeply with me as the key to a more sustainable and inclusive way of conducting business and our lives. I advise companies on how to become more responsible and teach business and human rights to the next generation. The way I see it, we as individuals and societies must conduct ourselves differently if our grandchildren are to have a meaningful and life-sustaining existence. It's like one of those silly video games. It's time to move to the next level. Call this a shift in our capitalist system toward a sustainable, responsible, or more conscious society. But we must change. We simply can't continue to consume 1.6 planets every year as we approach the 9 billion people mark. It's easy to do the math. We are in resource overdraft. It's also unethical for some in our societies to grow wealthier while many are left behind. A stable world must be socially sustainable. Alongside private equity, there must be social equity. Happily, a lot is already underway. My create message is that there is so much innovation within our reach, so many relevant market solutions, that we have the tools to solve most of these problems. Forward-thinking CEOs, and we will hear from a true trailblazer, Paul Pullman, the CEO of Unilever. This CEO understands that successful companies must respect our environment and human rights. My compete message is that business actually gain competitive advantage when they create shared value for all. I believe that we women do have a different, essentially cooperative vision. I see this vision in sessions harnessing the power of women to reinvent the rules of business and on sustainable investing and value creation, including sustainable fashion. I also see it in the speech of the great eco-activist Vandana Shiva, who will speak on food and water security cooperation. For this cooperation is the very essence of life itself as we enter this terrifying era of climate change. and this is an issue that really keeps me up at night. As women of vision, I urge you to engage as you experience Deauville. This is my 7th and 6th on the program committee, and this conference continues to challenge and uplift me. Don't just listen. Consider how you personally can make an impact. As citizens, you drive change at the ballot box. As consumers, you vote every day with your pocketbook. As investors, you can choose to support businesses which report on the triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit. Because, and this is my bottom line, we must compete, cooperate, and create for the future of our children and our Earth. Thank you.
Theo, please. Good afternoon. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the last 2 C's, the cooperation and the creativity. And I'm here from the African Women's Development Fund. And at the African Women's Development Fund, we've learned a number of things. But one of the things we've learned is the importance of truly ingraining women's rights in all of the work that's done. It's not enough to talk about women's rights as if they're some marginal issue. We have seen around the world that where you have women who are at the center of decision-making, where you have women who are empowered and emboldened and able to influence agendas and outcomes, we get better information, we get better decision-making, we get better outcomes for all of us, across the globe. So I'm really interested in the second C, the cooperation, because one of the things that we should have learned in the past several decades is that we work better when we work together. We've had the Millennium Development Goals operating for the past 14 years. We're about to hit the 15th year. One of the things we learned from the Millennium Development Goals is that although now across the world, people are really excited about their potential, but also the achievements that they've made and the inroads that they've been able to make in poverty eradication, in the recognition of rights, in dealing with some of our really intractable problems, what we have learned is that we lost 5 years at the beginning of those Millennium Development Goals because there was a perception that they were devised by the few and imposed on the many. In the post-2015 framework that's being developed now, I think that lesson is being learned. And people are looking at cooperation between various sectors, between governments, private sector, philanthropy, civil society, public sector, because there's an understanding that when we work together, we get farther. The program this year has many sessions where you can truly look at how you can work differently, whether you're in the private sector or the public sector or in civil society, in order to achieve mutual aims through cooperation. And I think that if we can truly not just listen, but hear what people with different experiences, with different skill sets, and with different visions are saying, that we'll be able to work well. The danger is when we pretend. The danger is when we have the rhetoric, when we say that we're interested in women's rights, but actually we're only interested in identifying, for example, scholarships for secondary school girls without looking at the legislative framework which might help make schools a safe place for girls. So let's listen to each other. Let's hear what we're saying. Let's look at cooperation as being understanding, appreciating, and accepting both what we don't know, but what other people do know, and putting those things together for better outcomes. I really hope that you'll be able to speak to some of the amazing people who are here this year. I've already spoken to 3 incredible young women from the Live to Lead Foundation who are here. We've got people like Dr. Mercy Odoyede from Ghana, who's the most incredible feminist theologian. We have got people in plenary, we have got people in workshop sessions. I really hope that even those of you who don't go to the women's rights sessions will understand the importance of women's rights in each of the sessions that you're looking at. Because if we truly want to change the way in which we operate, if we truly want better outcomes for our world, then we really need to understand that rights have got to be at the heart of our change, rather than simply relying on people's goodwill. So I hope this will be an exciting conference for all of you. I hope you'll speak to each other. I hope we'll go away having learned and thinking more creatively about some of the worst problems that we have on this world. Thank you.
Well, I'll look at something else a little bit here, but very much along the same kinds of queries. On a business-to-business level, and I think on a peer-to-peer level, we can see a great deal of very interesting interactions during our sessions between compete, cooperate, and create. Where does cooperation end and competition begin? But on a nation-to-nation level, on a region-to-region level, there's some queries I hope to hear about more. We all say for very good reasons that we want global norms on issues ranging, as Nina's mentioned, on sustainability, the environment, anti-corruption efforts, financial stability, and so on. But there's currently another aspect at work, an unusual convergence of actions around the world that are strengthening complex, and I would say even bureaucratic regulations on a narrow, national, sometimes regional, but mostly national basis, and that is combined with a really distinct lack of cooperation on a fully international level. Two examples on this. We all know that the financial crisis gave rise to the bailing out of banks on a national level, and because of that, the crisis also gave rise to new rounds of very needed banking regulations, but also on a national level. And the same, of course, on monetary issues. But it did not give rise to a real global cooperation in these spheres. So we have countries worldwide converging on the idea of setting up containment walls for themselves, with some even returning to ideas of capital controls. And that does not lead to worldwide cooperation, for instance, on the flows of capital. A second example. As I mentioned, we all like setting up of good standards and norms. Labor comes to mind, environment again, food safety, and so on. But countries seem to be backpedaling to a misuse of national, complex rules as a way to safeguard their positions and contain the competition that a certain less protective trade would bring. I think we're undoubtedly going to see more and more of this as bilateral negotiations are underway. Some would argue that's good enough, as long as they're not the ones excluded nor paying an inordinately high price for access. So it seems that governments, like markets, don't tend towards an equilibrium on this. Are we slowly moving back from the brink of worldwide competition? I would like to see the women here and men ask again and again, underlying our discussions, can we be sensible enough to create some new pathways to a much better balanced era of global responsibility?
Thank you. I'd like to echo some of the thoughts of my colleagues here, but start by saying I have a corporate communications firm, and we do a lot of work with corporations who are looking to do good and also do well, and how industries and corporations are able to break through silos to not only be competitive, but to use the resources that they've developed through innovation and through technology to help improve the world and improve global issues. So as we talk about competition, cooperation, and creativity, I think that we all, as members of the global society, we have the opportunity during this year's Women's Forum to bring new ways of looking at and exploring and resolving challenges from the standpoint of a changing paradigm. If we access the enormous resources that drive competitiveness, those very resources and characteristics that make us strong, that make our families strong, that make our communities work, that make us successful in our professions and in our work, together, can we better solve the issues of society through competition, together with cooperation? If, for example, all airlines provided their flight crews with the best training techniques they have for competitive advantage in customer service, could they take those same techniques and utilize them and train them to also be aware of, identify, and stop child trafficking? Would we not all benefit? If we were able to get companies such as Coca-Cola and Pepsi, who have enormous resources and are able to reach the most remote areas of Africa with their product, could we not then get educational materials and medications and condoms to combat HIV and AIDS in those areas, using the network of distribution and merchandising that these corporations have? How can we take great innovations around science and clean energy and solar and wind technology to ensure that access to clean water and food are available to the most vulnerable? We can harness the competitive spirit that drives success and innovation and create a safe and liberating space here at the Forum as we return to our home countries to apply the knowledge toward cooperatively addressing and solving issues that confront all people. Working together, we are stronger. I challenge us to enter the Forum over the next few days and the sessions, thinking about ways that we can be better and stronger by using competition and cooperation creatively. Thank you.
So, thank you. You now realize who the real brains of this forum are. And I would like to tell them that it has been, and I hope it will still be, a real pleasure to work on the future programs. Few things to add just before we really start this forum. First of all, I asked for a slide to come to ask you to participate. You will see all over the forum and appearing recurrently during our plenaries this board, telling and showing who among you are the social media leaders. So I can only encourage you not only to interact with our committee program members, but also to generally cooperate and give us your comments and your pushes and your thoughts, and of course participate throughout the forum. And my own challenge, you know that next year will be the 10th edition of this forum, so let's reinvent the forum together. This will be my challenge to you. Let's think together of what it could be for the 10 years to come. We really have to work together to cooperate, maybe to compete, at least to be on stimulation, to reinvent the forum. This is my challenge and my request to you. So let me declare this forum open and have a great time. Thank you.